are these local-ass bitches? On today's show, the bitches discuss some rather juicy topics with the polyamorous and swinging community with special guests Cooper S. Beckett, author, coach, and host of podcasts Life on the Swingset and a damn good podcast about Twin Peaks. Grab a drink, get cozy, and listen in as they discuss their personal experiences with alternative relationships while discussing Cooper's new book, Approaching the Swingularity, which releases on April 18th. Enjoy the lively conversation as the Lab invites Cooper to share his insights on the many rewards, as well as possible setbacks of having an open heart and mind in ethically non-monogamous relationships. Without further ado,
I'm Lisa.
I'm Manny.
I'm Rosa.
I'm Nora.
Welcome to the Lab.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Lab.
Hello everyone.
We're back again, actually pretty soon after the last episode that we did. We did good this time.
I know, it's kind of really a rarity, so to speak. But
Yes.
Yeah, we are in not messing around mode.
Yeah, exactly. It's spring, it's 2017, so yeah, we're gearing up to actually do the shit we said we were going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. On today's episode, we have a very special guest with us that we're very excited about. He is the king of all things non-monogamous, is my title for him. He's released books like A Life Less Monogamous, My Life on the Swingset, and he's also heads the podcast Life on the Swingset, and a damn good podcast about Twin Peaks, which, if you haven't checked out, please check out. And we'll talk more about these. But please welcome to the podcast, Cooper S. Beckett.
Hello.
We're so happy to have you here.
When you roll out the red carpet, I've never had a podcast experience where I was given pizza and drinks.
Yes, homemade pizza.
Homemade, yeah, this is amazing.
we're all about making you feel at home and feel comfortable so you can spill your guts.
Yes.
Well, we
That's
are of the
motive.
school of thought, if you don't like to eat, we don't trust you. So
That is true.
now we trust you.
Yes,
so.
yeah,
we're good.
So it was all attached.
It is, yeah.
Absolutely.
The Italian heritage is pretty...
Yeah, and Spanish, of course. You know,
Right,
you guys are like that.
Warm hospitality,
Yeah.
and make sure you're fed and make sure you feel good and...
It's a Latin thing.
And Germans are cold. And all
No, but you know what? I'm
no,
not
but I
saying-
feel like they are.
No, but let me tell you, when we were in Germany, my sister and I, you get that initial sense that there's a coldness, but it's almost like you're on the fail spectrum the second they meet somebody, and you almost have to, not necessarily prove yourself, but once they know that you're okay, then the red carpet.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I like that too, though.
That also sounds very German.
Yes, and that's probably why I love them so much, because there's no pretense then, you know what I mean? It's
I like that
then
too.
the reaction
Like-
that you get is a genuine one, I feel. You know what I mean? So that's probably why I'm,
Right,
That's a
as
good
opposed
point.
to-
Yeah.
Like for me, it takes a while for me to
habit.
warm up, and then
Yes. She does. She is like that. She's already, everybody's on the fail spectrum. Me, you're neutral. You're neutral. She's like, oh, fuck that. No. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, well.
You started in a debt. You have to work your way out of a hole first. And
That's her.
Yeah,
I mean, for most people, not for everyone.
Right.
You know,
It
like
depends.
people that you can't really read. You're just
There
like,
are some people where I'm just like, I don't like you, bitch.
Yeah, you're like that too. You and her are like that more. Me, I'm like, I'll have it in the back of my mind, I don't think I like you, bitch. Like, you know what I mean? And then I'll kind of look into it a little more.
But
Does that ever
sometimes with the
happen
people...
that you'd be like, I don't like you, bitch, and then you end up liking them?
Yes, I've had that very much. Was like, I don't like you. Wait a minute, you're a lot like me. Fucking cool shit.
And sometimes the people that are not initially bubbly are actually more authentic.
That's true.
Sometimes because you're like, ooh, what's wrong with,
I'm
why are they
always
more
bubbly.
introverted? But then
I'm
you
so
come to
not
talk to
bubbly.
them, you're like, oh, they're just pretty honest with their feelings. They're not artificially bubbly, and they're like, nice.
People think I'm on drugs. And I'm like, no, that's just me.
What?
Yeah, they're totally like, oh, I remember back in my 20s, do you on coke? No, on coke. Yeah, because I talk very fast. I'm very animated, and I get excited.
Really?
Yeah,
No.
and I'm like, no, it's just me. Yeah. What are you talking about?
So as people are using the thing on iTunes where you could slow down the podcast. That's probably what you need to do. If you can ever not understand Lisa, just slow it down a little bit on
I had to do
iTunes.
these because I listen at 1.5 speed on my podcast.
Oh.
I had to slow it down.
Oh my god.
It was too much.
Yeah, see?
So funny.
And that's why, like, I always try to rein it in, but if I get too excited, you know, the train leaves and that's it. Yeah, it's like, you know, it's, oh my
Full
god.
steam ahead.
Well, speaking of full steam ahead, Cooper, we just met you, so we don't know a lot about you. Kind of give us a little bit of your background and what brought you here to the lab.
Well, I started adult life very traditionally. I met someone in college. I got married right after college. Had a monogamous life for 7 years of marriage. The difference was we weren't interested in having children.
Okay.
And so that immediately kicked us off of the traditional
Sure, of
train,
course.
you know. And then we realized independently that we both were unsatisfied with the number of people we had had sex with. And like any good monogamous relationship, we didn't talk about it. We kept it very, very down, very deep, and resented the other person because of it. And we both were in therapy, and we both were telling our therapist the same thing.
Wow.
And it was the same therapist, and I really wish she just, connected the dots, because I understand the need for confidentiality. But when you're seeing both of us just say, you probably should talk about exactly the same thing.
Exactly.
So I got to a point, I'm also a photographer, and I had a portrait studio, and I had a model who basically made it clear that if I wanted to fuck her, I could.
Uh-huh.
And that was a really tough moment for me.
Sure.
Because I really did want to, but I didn't want to be the cheater. And so that led to me writing a letter, because I can't use my words, and handing it to my now ex-wife, but at the time, handing it to her and saying, when you are done reading this, come talk to me. So you can have your moment, you can have your reactions, you can have all this, and then we can talk about it. Because I feel like, and I feel like this about a lot of things. We talk a lot about coming out as non-monogamous, and I feel like if you come out to someone's face, sometimes it puts pressure on them to be something they're not. And if they react negatively, then you judge them.
That's a good way to think about it.
Because initially react negatively because it's surprising. I try to do all that shit via a non-synchronous communication. Like
so that sounds like a good
strategy. Here's an
strategy.
email with information. When you are ready to talk about it, you can talk to me.
Yes, after you've processed.
So my ex had the same feeling. Like, we want to fuck other people. Okay, I guess we get divorced. Because that's what you do, right?
Exactly.
And at the same time, a friend of mine had been talking about the lifestyle, and I didn't know what the lifestyle was, so I looked and see what the lifestyle is. And it turns out swinging is not dead the way I thought it was. It's actually very alive and well. And the
Is that a whole bunch of people in mustaches and makeup?
it didn't die a horrible death in the early 80s. And so, randomly, as a joke, I literally said to her, well, there's always swinging. And we did the math. It's like, okay, well, we can get divorced, or we can try this, and if it ruins our marriage, we get divorced. Really, there's no downside.
Right.
And so, within a week, we were on a website called Lifestyle Lounge, which is one of the local swinger dating websites. Within a week from that, we sort of got bullied into a first date. Not bully. I say bullied because it's funny, but not.
Maybe you guys were more hesitant because
we
it was
were
the first time.
we were like a lot of online dating people, which is like, we'll meet sometime.
Exactly.
And so this couple, thankfully, said, okay, well, sometime we're free tonight. How are you? Are you free tonight? We're like,
oh my god.
Well, I guess we are free tonight. And then we went on a swing date, and a week later we were having sex with other people. And so that is the break point of my life. That is the point that defines the time before and where I am now. And that changed my life completely. Non-monogamy. We have this idea of what our life is going to become when we become adults. This is our life. I was 29 when this happened. And I had resigned myself to this is my life for the rest of my life.
Sure.
And this lifestyle was so dramatically different from anything that I'd experienced that it was like I'm writing my own path.
Yeah.
And that was so incredibly freeing.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
A year later, I started Life on the Swingset, the podcast, because I also am incredibly full of myself and believe that not only do I understand things very quickly, but I think I know how to do them right.
And you like to talk a lot, you know,
And
which
I
is
like to
why,
talk a lot.
and this is why this is a natural choice for us. We're always like constantly jabbering about this or that or the other.
What really I wished had happened was that I had heard swinging was a thing.
Yeah.
And the only way we ever hear something like this is if people are talking about it.
Yeah.
And so I felt the podcast was a way to talk about it.
Sure.
To show, like, I was listening to Dan Savage and Sex is Fun.
Big fans.
And basically feeling like, man, all those people are having so much fun in their life.
Exactly.
Maybe someday I'll get to have fun.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's all about, this is a welcoming hand. Like, there is another way to live.
Right.
If you're monogamous and you want to be monogamous, that's
Be
awesome.
monogamous,
Be
yeah,
monogamous.
yeah.
The key is you should have a choice,
Right.
and nobody really has a choice because it's what's expected of you.
Yeah.
And so the non-monogamy very quickly, I mean, it started as fairly traditional swinging, you know, what people like to term wife swapping. You know,
Yeah.
That's not really what it is, but you know,
Because there's no interaction with the men.
right,
Yes,
fairly traditional. But then, like, my ex discovered her bisexuality then. And I had always had these inklings that made me worry that I was gay.
Oh, see, again, with the conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I grew up Catholic, you know, and so Catholic and traditional, you worry that you're gay. And it's like, I also wrestled with I wouldn't have a problem if I was gay.
Right.
But
Man, there's a lot of...
it would mean a fundamental shift in what I know about my
Of
life.
yourself,
And it
yeah.
would mean I was wrong. And so seeing how well she did with her bisexuality, it's like, okay, well, I can finally try it. There's actually an avenue now for me to try these things.
Right.
And so opening up more and more and more and exploring and just pushing beyond the boundaries of what's expected of me.
Right.
And I do that to this day. Like, I'm not a swinger. I'm not poly. I'm both. I run the gamut. So, like, if I meet someone and I'm really interested in them, I may want to date them. I may want to fuck them. I may want to do both, obviously. Or I may want to be friends with them. And I don't know what that's going to look like until I spend time with
And that
them.
was going to be my question. Like, at
Exactly.
what point do you go from having a sexual relationship to opening yourself up to an emotional relationship?
Well, we're in a triad relationship that just celebrated an anniversary.
Congratulations.
nice.
That's
my
awesome.
partner and I and our girlfriend. Yeah, which is rare. And we met her at a swinger party. We played with her at parties. We went on dates with her at parties. You know, and it was fairly traditional. And then we had one night at a party where it was just like all three of us went,
Wow.
there's something deeper
That's
here.
awesome.
And then you have to deal with that. It's like, okay, because she's married. So now she needs to go to her husband and say, okay, that thing that was just a little...
It's a little more
It's
than...
a little more.
Yeah.
Are we still okay? You know?
Sure.
But it's... what's great is you're reevaluating at every moment. You're present
Yes.
in a relationship rather than passive, which so many monogamous people are passive just because that's how monogamy often is.
Well, if I could interject, because I had an experience, I have led a life that is non-traditional in the sense that I don't give a shit what people think and what they project on me. I'm not married. I barely ever date. Like, it really is like, you know, however it comes up, it comes up. I don't have kids, you know, and I'm from a traditional Italian family.
So not having kids, I that's a big deal.
Oh, yeah, but not with my immediate family. You know, my parents are
Extended?
not like that at all. It's extended family.
Yeah.
But whatever, you still, like, face these things.
Sure.
And I did have an experience with a polyamorous couple, and it was awesome. I would say that was the most honest interactions that I've had with anyone ever. Like, then in a traditional dating sense, like, everybody knows everything up front. Like, everybody's like, you know, I mean, I thought it was just absolutely wonderful. Like, the whole experience, everything, you know,
Yeah.
so.
People in those situations tend to be so much more honest.
Yeah,
and
I love
expose
it.
myself to the same.
It's like you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Because non-monogamy is complicated.
Yes, it could be. Yeah.
You can coast in monogamy. It is really difficult to coast in non-monogamy.
But can you really? Because you're hiding all these emotions in the back of your head, and
but you
there's
can-
seven building
I mean,
up, and blah, blah, blah.
the
And
key
but it could still.
Yes, you can get away with that for 50
Yes,
years.
they could still go on.
It still may blow up at the end, but
Yes.
you can
Two people
you can
that-
push the hard conversation. The conversation that started my journey was pushed at least a year down the road because I could. You know, in non-monogamy, there's intense conversations. Like, I'll sit down with my partner and we'll be like, okay, I need to know how you feel about this because we're doing this thing. And it happens, and that's part of the game. You know, that's part of what
and
this
does that
is.
fluctuate? I mean, so in other words, like one day I'm okay with it, and tomorrow I'm not okay with it.
Sure.
You know, and that must be hard.
Oh,
too, to
yeah.
deal with.
His jealousy can have a delay effect. Like,
Oh,
at first
yeah.
you're like, oh no, I'm fine. And
I'm
then 3 days
fine,
later,
yeah.
you get the knife out. You're like,
It's
what?
true.
You know? And it's just, that's how emotions work sometimes.
Yeah,
it's
like
like
you
they don't,
can't-
you
they're
don't
not-
necessarily process them right away.
And they're not rational.
But
They're
it's
not
not
rational.
necessarily
They're not
projection
rational.
to the other person. It's kind of like a reflection of what you're feeling on the inside about yourself.
Sure.
Because I think, like, I haven't really explored it that much because I'm like, I'm too fat. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh, I can't do it. You know, and it's not
I would
true.
say not at all.
Yeah, exactly. That's like we tell them that all the
And
time.
I'm not just, I'm a flirty guy. I'm not just flirty. I'm just saying, not at all.
And I just feel like, oh my god, like I can't do it because even in your book, you talk about all the beautiful people. You kind of make mention that there's all different sizes, but then you talk about
But the beautiful people is a different thing.
Right.
No, here's the thing. The beautiful people, like, there's two terms. I used to call this group of swingers the beautiful people. Okay. And those people
Based on
are the
Marilyn
vapid
Manson?
people.
The
Those
vapid people.
Those people are the,
Yeah.
this is my workout body.
Yes,
I
know
expect
exactly
you to have a workout body.
what you're talking
It's like, okay, great, you know what you want, and that's
Okay.
fine. I'm just not going to hang out with you because that's not me.
Exactly.
So there's those people.
And in the gay community, those people tend to get, in group settings, they get the least amount of play because they're very picky and like, they just won't
well, all they can
anything.
do is fuck each other.
Yeah.
And at a
Yeah, they
certain
don't-
point,
they don't
it's
branch
incestuous.
out.
That's true.
So I don't know if it's the same. And
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
And-
It's like a
and-
facetious, isn't it? Like,
Well, it's that we are people. You know,
Yes.
there are a lot of very traditionally sexy and attractive people in non-monogamy. Absolutely.
Right.
But in general, it crosses the entire gamut. That's the amazing thing about non-monogamy, especially swinging. When I would look at it, it's like if there's a percentage of people in the country that do a certain thing, there's probably a similar percentage in swinging that do a certain thing. And so you see every level of people. And one of the best lessons I ever learned was I initially set an age boundary for swinging, was like 10 years on either side. That felt comfortable.
Okay.
You know, I didn't want to go like to 40 because then, I was 29, I'm an idiot. But,
Well, still, I mean, you have to start somewhere.
Sure,
It's like, you don't know. Yeah.
when you're discussing these things, you're discussing everything, and you have no idea how you're actually going to react. But then, like, a month later, the best, my first swap experience, my first penetrative sex with another person, was with a 54-year-old woman who just, clicked with me.
That's awesome.
And still, one of my best swinging experiences is with a woman who just turned 62.
That's awesome. Wow.
I mean, it's and the key was losing my judgment of what people are.
Yes. Which is what I like about this so much.
well,
Is that
and
because it's
that
so
brings you back to
open.
like
I
younger,
love it.
like the younger
Yeah.
age groups seem to be
That's why I gel
more
with them.
open to that.
Yeah.
That's why when I started dating again, I started to want to hang out with people that were younger because they seem a little bit more open-minded.
Sure, yeah.
People my age were already like, they had a wall up, they were closed-minded sexually. I'm not closed-minded sexually.
Or the ones
at all.
available are divorced.
They're divorced and they have a thing against women already. They're holding grudges with regards to divorces and lawyers and wives, and they already hold a prejudgment against you. So at first I started dating younger guys, and it wasn't working out in the sex department because they're not experienced enough. And in my situation, they're just like, I want to stick it in. You know? Can I know your name first? And that's rough for me because I think I'm a little bit more complicated and more layered than that. And I want to be able to have a connection. You're like, you don't have to marry me, bitch. But
That's what I need for sure.
Yeah,
And I always get
That came to me very early in swinging. Like a lot of traditional swingers don't really care about you beyond the sex.
Exactly.
And we somehow stumbled into this group of couples that all knew each other and all would hang out at barbecues.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it was lucky because that's not really traditional swinging.
Yeah.
But then I realized very quickly, like the very few experiences I've had that would qualify as one-night stands were very unfulfilling. And like, I don't need to be best friends with you afterwards, but if I don't even know how to contact you,
yeah,
that's upsetting to me.
Yes.
Like
Correct.
if something happened, God forbid, if something happened, and I needed to say, by the way, you should go get tested.
Yeah, exactly.
I won't be able
That's
to do
true.
that.
That's true.
Does it change if there's liquor involved though? Like, is it
For me, or for
like
the
for that
community?
situation, the one night stand? Is it easier if you're like wasted?
Well, liquor was involved in those one night stands.
Oh, and still, you still felt like
it's like it's the hangover the next morning.
Yeah.
Okay, not only was I
okay.
drunk, and then you start to judge your decisions.
Oh, then it might
I'm
be
only doing that
worse.
because I was
Yeah.
drunk. You know?
Yeah.
And I don't like feeling like that. I spent a lot of my life being not in control of my life, and so I like to be as in control as I can be, while recognizing we can never really be in control of our lives.
Well, that was the experience that I had in terms of, because it wasn't swinging in the traditional sense, because we did get to know each other, and there was dating and there was courting and all that stuff. And I think that's awesome. For me personally, I need that. It's not to say that one day I won't have like a frivolous encounter and then but I'm not one of those people that could do that all the time.
So, what about like in an experience like at the resort, where
that's what I'm wondering.
Like
too.
in the book, for me, it's like, can I picture myself in that environment? Like, wow, that sounds really hot. I want to be in every one of those scenes that he's described in the book. I think,
and the book is, just so we got it straight, the book is approaching the Swingularity, which is out April 18th. April 18th. So
exactly.
why don't we transition to talk about the book?
And CooperSBeckett.com.
And the fact that you have this experience outside of it, it's not something that's made up in your head. You've actually, have an experience like this. You go to it every year, and now you're running it. And I'm reading and so fascinated. So here I am, I'm a person on the periphery, like, wow, it'd be really cool to check out.
You get to peek through the portal into the...
Right. And it's like, I can see myself doing that. That's really great. And then I'm like, no, I can't.
Well, here's the thing to think about, and the thing that really, there's a lot of talk about whether or not sex can ruin a relationship. If you have a friendship and then you have sex, will it ruin the relationship? And I don't know if I'm built differently, and I don't know if a lot of people are built differently, but I feel like sex takes the most uncomfortable part of the relationship off the table. I think I used those words wrong. So,
I know what you mean.
If you're spending all this time with someone that you're sexually attracted to, it's going to be harder to have legitimate conversations with them because you're spending so much time man, if we could just fuck it.
There's all this tension. There's all this,
So if you can do that and you can have that interaction, I find that you can then communicate about anything.
Yes.
Because you've experienced them at their vulnerable state. You've experienced them intimately. So now when you want to talk about something serious and intense, it's so much easier. And I don't feel like that's the way for everybody, but I feel like that's definitely my wiring.
That's how I am, and I think that turns people off in my particular situation, right? Because I come off as wanting to be serious. I'm not. I just want the connection.
Yeah.
I want to be able to connect with you as a human, and what do you think about this? Or I really like you. That doesn't mean I want to marry you.
Exactly.
I really like you. I like your
societal
company.
conditioning, putting this stuff on top of your relationship.
And then people are like, whoa.
Right, and you're like, well, I didn't mean all that.
You both and not start a relationship. That's the question is, even with polyamory, this is the question I have. Because, I'm currently in an open relationship, but we consider ourselves emotionally exclusive. So, neither of us have really a desire to form, another relationship outside of sex with other people, even though, when we do have sex. So, how do you come to terms with that? Or how do you describe yourself, I guess? Or...
It's a little more, the nice thing about labels is it's real easy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so by saying I'm open, I often will start conversations with people that I don't have extensive connection with. My partner and I are in an open relationship.
Right.
Because then they will either say okay and we'll move on, which means they're not interested in pursuing that line of questioning, or they'll be like, okay, but what does that mean?
Yeah.
And then I tell them, you know, and so
Yeah.
it's like I build in fail safes to my conversations. Like, if you don't want to continue down this, like, I'll talk about anything.
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, see, I agree. I agree with that. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
I know people don't always want to talk to me about stuff like that. They don't want to hear about the double penetration.
Right.
I do.
I know we do.
Self.
We can talk about it.
Yeah, we do.
And so it's I
That's
found
hilarious.
that saying sometimes I'm swinger, sometimes I'm poly, sometimes I develop more long-term relationships with people, sometimes it's more sexually based, and really it all depends on what I'm looking for at the moment and what that other person is looking for.
Yes.
It makes it more complicated.
Like what form the relationship takes, because you don't know, because everybody's different and every interaction is different.
you have no idea when you meet someone if they are going to be that ideal person that you want to spend significant time with.
Right.
You know?
It's true.
You may know very quickly whether you want to fuck them. That's the easier part.
Yeah, that's true.
The other way
Yeah.
around too, because like I was hanging out with somebody who like so cool, really hot, like a younger person, and then like when it came to the bedroom, it was just like, and I just felt like emotional connection to this person. He was a very nice person, and we had a great time together. But like,
You just didn't click sexually.
right, and that's so difficult to approach. I feel like I'm a very honest person, but it's really a hard conversation to have.
Yeah, it
like,
is.
we just do not have the same style. We don't have the same goals in the bedroom, and and it's not working for me there.
Right.
That's very a personal thing to tell
What's
someone.
wonderful about non-monogamy is you can have that kind of relationship, you can have this kind of, as long as everybody's buying in. It's like the idea that someone is going to fulfill me mentally, spiritually, physically. I mean, it's an outrageous
It's a lot to put on one person.
Yes.
And so knowing that, like, my partner is far more into BDSM than I am, and she can go and do that.
Exactly.
That's great. And if I'm going through the motions to do something for a partner, then it's not worth it.
Right.
And we live under this delusion that we have to make it work. Because that's the only way to succeed in relationships. And I feel so terrible that that's the way I remember thinking that. I remember how hopeless I felt, because like, if I'm not happy now, 7 years in, what are the odds in 50 years?
And that causes even more strain.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
It feels suffocating.
And I'm at that point right now where I'm like, nothing's working. What's going to work for me? I've got, I do need intellectual stimulation. I do need affection. I do need, sexual openness. I do need to be with somebody who's going to be adventurous and explore. So, and like, sometimes that doesn't come in one package.
Right.
So, like,
Rarely. So maybe you'd be more of like the swinger poly, like, is there like a certain personality type that might be more attracted to that lifestyle because they're kind of just...
Well, I think it's, it's funny, like, we talk about people who are woke, and I think there's similar things with relationships and sexuality, is there's a point where you can no longer go back to sleep.
Yeah.
There's a point where once you see what's actually available, and living in a place like this, Chicago is incredibly open.
And I feel like for a certain, because there are people that want to be very monogamous and that they don't know at all what that's like. But then there are a lot of people who probably spend their life like that, like just kind of
and they try to force themselves into monogamy.
And that's what I don't want to do.
And that's why, divorce, that's the thing about divorce, like, if the rate is so high and the percentage of reasoning is infidelity for so many
Yeah, and when you remove that ultimate death trap from a relationship,
and then maybe somebody can probably go from that lifestyle to monogamous again.
Sure.
But they
That's what I was
have to
going to
be
say.
willing to have intense and difficult conversations.
Right.
And so few people are willing to have conversations like that.
And I teeter. Sometimes I'm like, man, I just want to do it. And then sometimes I'm like, I want to have these deep intellectual conversations. But then once it gets to a certain depth level for me, I'm like, that's too much. I'm done. Like, you're being a bitch right now. Like, there's a point with me where I do love to have, I have conversations with my friends like this all the time. And I'm very self-aware, I think. I've become a lot more self-aware than I ever was. But, Yeah, it gets to the point where it's like, do we really have to talk about 852 labels right now? I don't want to.
Well, a lot of it is taking a breath and jumping in and trying something. You know, the scariest thing about non-monogamy is you can't unsee things. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't unsee things about yourself. Like in a monogamous relationship, if you decide to open up, you cannot unsee your wife fucking someone else. So you I always feel like you can role play and you can prepare and you can discuss all you want, but at a certain point you actually have to leap.
Yeah.
And yes, it could destroy you.
Yeah.
But like anything of value, it could destroy you. But that's what makes it valuable.
And that's how I've always felt that even as a kid, I was like, if you love something, set it free. Kind of like, I want you to be you. I don't want you to pretend to be somebody else to love me in a certain way because you think that's what I need. Mm-hmm. You know, I want you to be you and you to be happy.
Yeah, authenticity is
part of this is a discussion that a lot of people really don't like having. I didn't like it when I first had it. Was about impermanence. Mm-hmm. And the idea of impermanence in relationships means that, you know, if I go out with someone for 5 years and then we decide that we're no longer compatible and we break up, it doesn't negate the last 5 years.
Right,
you know,
right.
There's value there.
Yeah.
And we have this idea that relationships are only successful if somebody dies. Because that's the way relationships end. If they are, quote, successful, is one of the two dies and the other one mourns. That's the end of a relationship. So impermanence is about embracing what it's giving you now. And, you know, I got divorced not because of non-monogamy, but because of bullshit life. That's why I got divorced. And I could have very easily gone over to she's a bitch. Right. And the relationship was shit. But that relationship gave me this. Mm-hmm. And that relationship changed me fundamentally. And so emotionally, I wouldn't change a thing, even though there were times when it was awful. Yeah. There were.
But there were lessons in that, and there was also, growth.
So it's about embracing the growth and embracing the idea that we are not finished. Yeah. Because when you are finished, you may as well lie down and die. Right. There's no reason to continue because you're finished. You're not going to ever learn anything again. And so the constantly being learning and constantly exploring, and I call it coloring outside the lines, pushing your boundaries. Mm-hmm. You know, like bisexuality is such a part of who I am. Mm-hmm. And I use bisexuality when I'm really far more like pan-omnisexual. Okay. Like, I don't really care what your chosen gender is. If I like you, yeah.
Exactly.
So... But bisexuality is important to me because as a man, bisexual men are one of the most put upon and hated.
I know.
Of all the
especially in the gay community.
Yeah, that makes me sad, and I don't understand that.
Especially in the gay community.
I was told to my face by 2 gay men that I'm just on my way to gay.
Yeah, and that's so annoying for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty gay. I'm like 5.9 on the figures. I'm pretty freaking gay. Yeah. But like in the gay community, there's so many guys that are they won't buy into the idea of there being bisexual people. But I say, well, obviously, if there's a guy that's straight and he likes women, and there's a guy that's gay and likes men, there has to be a guy that likes both. Like there's just it's an impossibility that there wouldn't be a guy that likes both.
And what really angers me about that is that the heterosexual community for years have told the gay people that gay doesn't exist, and then you're turning around and telling bisexual people that they're not feeling that their feelings are not legit.
Valid. You know that drives me nuts. I'm not calling out any community, but nobody oppresses like someone who's been oppressed.
Exactly. Sure. That's what I was just about to say.
And it's like, and I see this in all these communities, like the swinger community and the poly community fight constantly.
Oh my God.
The BDSM community fights constantly.
That's so silly.
It's because we fought for this land.
Yeah.
And you're going to just wander in here and say you deserve it too? Fuck you.
That's a good point, because that's probably what it is, and it's subconscious,
and they don't even realize. Part of the gay thing is that,
you don't even realize
to come to terms with being gay is like, many gay people are suicidal at some point in their life. Like, it's a really hard thing.
Terrible,
and like, I feel like bisexual people, they do have a choice of like, if they want to live a traditional life, they can do that,
and
they can ignore this other part of themselves. But gay people can't do that, so they're forced to do this other thing. So maybe there's a little bit of resentment too on the side of gay people.
I am sure.
Between poly and swinging, swingers can hide. Mm-hmm. It's not their lifestyle. Poly people find it much harder to hide because who do you not take home for Christmas?
That's true, because it's a relationship. Yeah.
So I see it, and it is a lot of, I fought really hard for this.
Yes.
You're not fighting nearly as hard, so you don't deserve it a little bit.
Exactly.
And I really want to make it clear that I'm not putting that on anything.
No. But it makes sense.
It's a natural thing.
It rationally makes sense to me. You know what I mean? And it's all subconscious, and things are not even, a lot of times it's not anything that's at the forefront of your mind, why you resent something, so it's very interesting conversation.
It bugs me a lot, even just in porn. Like, if I'm like, okay, I want to watch a threesome. How come the guys aren't fucking each other? This sucks.
Yeah.
You're watching the wrong porn, girl.
Yeah, I like the ones. Yes, those are the ones I like. Yeah.
No, there's some great bisexual threesomes.
And once in a while, I do like watching, I mostly just watch gay porn, very strict, but I do like watching bisexual porn once, and if there's a woman involved once in a while, I kind of like that.
Sure.
But I'm so not attracted to women, and I like boobs, maybe.
Yeah.
But I've tried it, and I'm very...
boobs, maybe.
Maybe,
no, but that's you. You know what I mean?
Even when we went to Hump Fest.
Yeah.
Have you been to Hump Fest?
Oh, I have. I've already got my tickets for this year.
Awesome. We're going on
Saturday.
when are we going? April
the 15th.
So are you going to the first show? Or
Saturday night, the second show.
Yeah.
So
great. We'll go together. Great.
That's awesome.
Too.
We'll
I remember
last
year, they had point blank range. It was two people that were in transition from female to male.
Yes.
And they were giving each other blowjobs, and they had large clitorises. And the vagina was point blank range on the screen. And I so wanted to be like, yeah, this is fucking awesome. I'm so supportive of this. But I couldn't. I felt revolted by it. And I felt so bad, that I'm so vagina-phobic. And I don't want to be vagina-phobic.
You want desperately to be inclusive.
Yeah.
I totally get that. Yeah. No, it's I'm a bisexual guy who I love sucking cock.
Right.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, it's a coincidence.
I'm not crazy about kissing guys. I don't like the I have a beard, and I don't like the feeling of a beard.
Yeah.
And that's not true of all guys. I have guys in my life that I will make up with.
So doesn't mean you're not.
Really
so I recognize that
things are never black and
fluid
white
with me.
Yeah.
It's
that's awesome.
Today, this situation may be the one that's everything is good about this situation. Yeah. And I can, I also don't do one-on-one stuff with guys because the first 2 bi experiences I had were both one-on-one and both of them were bad.
Oh.
And they weren't bad because of what happened. They were bad because of the person and the way I went about it. Because I thought I have to do this. I'll go Craigslist. I'll do the thing. And it's just okay, well, you're nothing like you said you were. And
it's just a bad experience
it's
all
just
around.
A bad experience.
Yeah.
But I haven't done it since.
Yeah.
But, I don't feel like I ever will date a guy, but I also recognize I may not have met that guy yet.
Exactly. See, that's the type, that's what I'm talking about, because who knows, if I end up in a monogamous relationship, or if I end up even with a woman. I mean, I've had experiences with women, but never, I know for a fact I'm attracted to men. Mm-hmm. Women have had experiences with, and I liked it.
Sure.
But it's not the same for me, at least at this point in my life. Again, Kinsey, because it could change. When I'm 60, I don't know.
I feel very similar.
Yeah.
Very recently, I had a guy friend me on Facebook, and I looked at his picture, and he's got this purple mohawk, and he's kind of pretty, and it's just okay, I need to tell you.
Yeah.
You are the first guy I've looked at and said, that's my type.
Yeah.
It's in my entire life.
Yeah.
I have. There's one guy in college that also fit that bill.
Sure.
But it's I look at women and I see even not my type. It's okay. I see. I like her for these reasons.
Yes.
Guys,
but looking at guys, it's okay. Yes, I objectively see you are attractive. I'm just not.
Yes.
Desperate to fuck you.
Right. The pull. You don't feel like the pull. Yeah.
And so I feel that's me being on this side of the three,
It's so interesting.
And someday maybe I'll be on this side. I don't know. And I think that's what it is. It's the freedom that I'm not going to put myself here. Because I may be over here, or I may be here.
And you're open to it. I'm not afraid of it. You know what I mean? That's the thing. I think a lot of people
have in common. We're not afraid of it. I mean, Mandy's afraid of the roast beef, but
the roast beef.
I had this conversation with Dan Savage. Unfortunately, we didn't have it on the air, but I had this conversation with him. It's well, he's like, well, you like eating pussy, right? Yes. You're not gay. Gay men don't like eating pussy.
That's actually.
So I mean, right there, it's like gay men are not just going to sit there like, man, I could just dive into the pussy.
No.
It's just not the thing. Only bi men and straight men want to dive into some
That's
pussy.
what I would. Yeah.
And I remember when we were at the porn festival, and there was the roast beef, and it came out, and I turned to Cameron, my partner, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's the roast beef!"
Yeah,
because I'd never seen it. Like I'd never seen it at close range.
Oh my god,
that was your first.
Like not at close range.
Yeah.
So, were you there 2 years ago?
Yeah, I've been there for the last 2 years.
Did you see the Mormon one? Do you remember the Mormon one?
Yes, the Mormon.
So there was this Mormon. I call it the Mormon one, but that was the joke at the end. It was a guy, a really well dressed guy in a tie, and he opens this drawer with all these lovingly laid out dildos, and he fucks his ass for like 10 minutes.
Wow!
Like right there.
Damn.
And it was beautiful high definition.
Yeah, like you could see everything.
Yeah. And then at the end, he puts on his Latter-day Saint.
Oh my god!
But I remember sitting there like, there are people in this audience who are not able to handle what is happening on the screen at the moment right now.
And that's what's great about the audience is it's so eclectic.
Yes.
And we are all having this experience together.
And we all shared the experience of being horrified by E.T. fucking Elliot.
Oh my, okay. Yeah, that's
all shared in the horrors.
Wow.
And Dan Savage came out after that one and said, yep, that was one of those where I saw it and now you have to see it.
Yeah, because we're very open, and then there's a line.
And then there's a line.
I think that's how 2 girls, 1 cup. That was like, I saw it, and now you have.
For me, I'm always like, no animals, no kids. I always say two consenting adults. Everybody's, you know what I mean? Like then whatever. You know what I mean? Like
I've seen such things.
I know. See, I can't handle certain things.
Like if somebody would make like Dennis the Menace fucking.
Okay.
That's
like with his like wisp of hair, like fucking someone with a wisp of hair.
This is so wrong.
You just gotta say, I like that's where your mind is.
He always does. Oh my god, yeah.
Now I have a question. So in the gay community, obviously there's guys that are tops, there's guys that are bottoms, and there's guys that are somewhere in between, right? They're versatile. So if you are a straight man, for example, and you are a bottom, what do you do? Like if you're, I mean, obviously
So like you're a straight man who wants to
You're a
get
straight
fucked?
man that you're just not that interested in fucking, but you want to be fucked.
Well, that's pegging.
And then you can be
which I
pegged.
enjoy.
On my business card it says pegging enthusiast.
Yeah.
I think
it's great. Like,
You just have to find a woman that's into pegging.
Yeah, but and you know what? It's funny because so many women are really, really into it, but don't know they are because they've never been given the opportunity.
Sure.
Because so many guys are like, no, that's an outdoor. That's, and I feel so bad because I'm one of those people who can have a prostate orgasm. And I've had orgasms that lasted up to 50 minutes.
Whoa.
So I am an evangelist for the wonder of the prostate.
Yeah.
And
me too. Because that's my favorite thing is to
prostate?
have them enjoy. Yeah. Like, for them to enjoy, because that is a real big deal for a man. You know what I mean? It's like you could see it, you could feel it happening. You know what I mean? It's like, it's very rewarding.
Right.
Yeah.
What was rewarding for me is that, like, I get to do the fucking now. Like, I've always been on the receiving end.
It completely switches the dynamic. And you know what's I appreciate as a man who's often the one on top.
Yeah.
That every woman who's ever fucked me has been like, man, that's a workout.
I was just about to say that. That's the only thing. It is a lot. Because I don't think our backs are built for that,
when
man.
I say I'm tired, it's why.
Oh my god.
Not because I don't want to
I'm like,
go
there's
down
gotta
on
be a
you for
secret.
that.
Also,
There's gotta be a secret to this.
Dilds, so there's no feeling.
No, that's also very.
So you gotta be like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh man, this is like going like too much.
Well, I have a thing about so I've never put one on. I've used toys and stuff. And
that's my favorite.
Women and men are built so differently.
Yes.
Like men are built to be very angular and to do this, and women want to scoop.
That's my problem.
Well, no, it's actually.
I'm like my lumbar.
So as a bisexual, I have had the experience of having my fingers inside both a man and a woman simultaneously. And, I'm not a doctor.
Right.
But if we can all agree the G-spot exists, and let's for a moment all agree that the G-spot exists. Okay. And we can all agree that at one point in the womb, we were all women.
Right.
And then the labia fused and it became balls and, the clit grew.
Yes,
and it became, okay. So if we can agree on those things, doesn't it make sense that the prostate and the G-spot are the exact same thing?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Since they feel exactly the same, they get engorged exactly the same, they both feel like squishy walnuts.
Yes.
And you feel like you're going to pee when they're getting stimulated because the prostates and they surround the urethra. Yeah. So if we can agree on those things, and again, I'm not a doctor, so I can't say that's for sure. Right. But if we can agree on those things, doesn't it make sense that that's what the G-spot is?
Yes.
It's the formative prostate. And if that's the G-spot, then the orgasms that a prostate can generate will be very similar to the orgasms that G-spot
and
can
that's
generate.
what I like. You know what I mean? Because it's like a super. I mean, you could see. I mean, I felt that because I'm not a man, but from what I could see, it's really intense. And I think it's
I'm going to ask the personal questions. Do you have multiple orgasms? Do you have squirting orgasms?
Yes.
Okay.
I can.
Then
I'm waiting for mine.
You're waiting for yours? My partner just found hers.
Yeah. It wasn't that long ago.
Like literally this year, we finally got to it.
Yeah.
And we discovered what... Okay, so you know Enjoy, the company? NJOI, they make metal toys. The G-Spot Whisperer, I can put this for sure at this point, is called the Pure Wand. It's shaped like a comma. Buy one, and you can... If your body is able to do it, you will be able to do it.
Wow.
I'm going online right now.
I know, she's like looking it up.
And you know, what's really great about that thing is it's very easy to feel like you're less than. You know, like I know my partner felt like she was less than our friends because they could have squirting orgasms.
Because you're like, why not me?
Yeah. And like we tried for years just with different toys.
And that could be frustrating because you're like trying to achieve this goal and you're like, it's eluding.
And like I've like tried it by myself. And I'm like, how am I going to tell somebody to do it if I haven't done it myself?
No, really, that's a two-person job.
That's what I was going to say.
It is.
That's what I was going to say.
And I don't like using toys by myself.
This is it.
All the time.
Yeah, it's just like $90.
That will be the best $90
Wow.
You know, and then like sometimes I'm like, I don't want to be using toys by myself. I feel like I want to enjoy this with somebody else.
Sure.
So then I like lose.
It's different experiences because being with yourself is also very nice.
Yeah.
But they're two different.
Amusingly. So at my Desire trips, which Desire is a resort in Mexico for swingers.
And that's ssdesire.com.
We should transition to the book.
Come with. We do a toy show and tell. And one of the things I show is the Pure Wand and all these other toys. And I'm a very shy person. So I'm constantly of the belief that no one wants to fuck me. Even though it's been proven that
that's not true.
But I'm that person.
Well, everybody's got things.
And if I'm in an environment where I'm uncomfortable in asking people, I will be off to the side, shy, and hoping someone asks me. And I very much recognize that is not the way to get fucked.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I don't think I could ask somebody. I always wait for people to ask.
Well, see, if we're all waiting, then nobody.
Exactly.
What do you mean? Yeah,
like at one of these parties.
What happens to those two people that like want to do it and they just never do?
And they just never do
because somebody doesn't initiate.
Exactly. That's
I'm always telling the people who have that experience, who go to parties and it's just like, man, no one wants to fuck me.
And it's like, well, you're closed off too.
Did you ask anyone to fuck you?
And
what is the proper thing? Like, let's go fuck?
Well, it's sit down and start a conversation.
Exactly.
And then, if you're at a play party,
that's just
that's easier.
When you start a conversation with someone, I mean, it doesn't need to lead.
It's on their table.
But it's very easy to say. So, hey, you want to see what that toy does, or let's go over here.
Because you're right in that forum.
That's why for anxious people and like people like swingers would be the way to go because it's kind of you don't have to.
You're already on that level.
Yes.
But even then, like traditional swinging, it's very easy to watch everyone pair up and go off.
Okay.
It's very easy. And I've been in that situation where I'm like the last one
it's
at a party. It is.
That's
you're in the corner at the dance.
Yeah.
Gym class.
So what I've done is I bring toys. Because I have a lot of toys.
Sure.
And I say, okay, hey, I'm happy to show anybody who wants to see how these work. I'm happy to use them with you or let you borrow them. You just let me know. And you know what? A lot of people who've never used a kind of toy, they want someone who knows how to use it.
Exactly, of course.
And I can also make that division. Like in Desire, someone really wanted to use a toy called the Enjoy 11, which is the next level up from that one.
Damn.
It's 11 inches of stainless steel.
Nice.
It's insane.
Whoa.
And it's very expensive, so
Yeah.
not many people have it. But so that she really wanted to use it. And
So
it's like,
take your
okay,
eyes
well,
light up.
I can use it on you.
Yeah.
And I want you to know that I would have no expectations of you having to do anything. You know, this is something I'm doing for you.
Right.
You know? And so I was able to do that. I used it with her. She really enjoyed herself. And then that was it.
Yes.
You know? And maybe I could have gotten something for me out of the situation, but I really enjoyed the demonstration.
Yes, yes.
Like it's like the knowledge. It's why we do podcasts. Why on earth would we do podcasts if we didn't want to pass something on to someone else?
Sure. Yeah.
You know, so I want people to discover things their bodies can do.
Yeah.
Because that's the most important moments of my life, was when I accidentally had my first prostate orgasm. And it lasted for 50 minutes.
Wow.
And I could barely eat at the buffet in Mexico because I couldn't hold
Can the men use this thing?
Which one? The pure one?
Yeah.
I've used it, yeah. Actually, I have prostatitis, which is an inflamed prostate.
Uh-huh. How do people get that? Remember, what's his face?
No, it's actually the first thing my what's the name of the doctor? Urologist?
Oh, the proctologist. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
First thing he asks is like, you sit all day, right? It's like, yeah. It's like, okay, well, this happens.
Oh.
It's not the cancerous, so it's not bad.
Yeah.
It just gets inflamed and irritated sometimes. So one of the things that I realized worked was using the Purewand on myself to help.
Interesting. Yeah.
This is the least sexy conversation I've ever had.
But it's super. Yeah, I know. I'm totally like,
look at this
anything medical, I'm like obsessed with.
So she's reading the comments section right now.
How do you turn on the vibration? There is no vibration, but believe me, you won't need it. That's so awesome.
I have a question about once you chose a life less monogamous, and you went from having smaller, intimate encounters to going to something like the resort, how was that transition for you?
Well, so it's a number of things. I, again, am very shy, and so hosting parties is easier than going to parties because I know everybody there. And so like hosting this trip to Mexico, I'm a celebrity. So odds are everybody has a reason to talk to me, even if they don't want to fuck me, they have a reason to talk to me. And I'm one of those people who gets very much in my head when I'm talking to someone. It's like, okay, would you rather be talking to someone else?
Okay.
You know, so like at least I know they want to talk to me.
Right.
And at that point, if I know that people are interested in me at all, then I can kick into the fake confidence of, hey, want to fuck me? But it's very hard for me to get there otherwise.
Right.
So the reason I do these things, like literally, one of the reasons I do the podcast is so people want to fuck me. Because they hear what I have to say.
Sure. You just sort of like that meme.
You know,
Exactly. It's like one with the fingertip.
Like it's literally, I'm very aware that I do not look traditionally like the beautiful people attractive. I'm very aware of myself. And so what I realize is I have a great interior. My curb appeal could use some work.
Same.
So therefore,
but that's all social conditioning crap.
Oh, yeah.
You know what But I know what you're saying because it does affect everybody. But now with the different experiences that I've had and the growth that I've had, I realize that's all such bullshit.
It is.
You know, and
it matters a lot less than we think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and especially in the gay community, like someone like you is very desirable to a very to a wide range of gay people.
Absolutely.
You know, you're like the ideal type for like,
and even for women, I would say, you know what I mean? Like, come on, you know. And then when you think, no, but no, I swear to God, I'm serious. Yeah, I know. See, that's what happens. You talk to us, so like we're brutally honest. We're like just say shit.
So moving
because
beyond
it depends on where you go. Like if you went to like Wicker Park, they'd be all over.
Yeah, that's true.
Like that's how it is with like me. Like if I go to
South Beach,
right?
If I go to San Diego,
that's all like the Viagra Triangle. Probably not. You know, that they're looking for certain.
That's like Rush Street.
but what I need emotionally is I need to take away my mental blocks. And my mental blocks are starting with, there's no way this person wants to fuck me. And if I can take away that just by ignoring it, by having the good conversation that I'm not thinking about it.
Sure.
You know, and at that point, if I can do the thing, you know, and if I'm getting the laugh, then it's like, okay, now I can play this. Now I know how to do this.
Right.
But I need to get there.
Yeah.
And so,
That's hard.
You know, couples are difficult.
Yeah.
Because you go out with another couple and you have to play multiple games. It's like, okay, do I respect this man? Do I want to fuck his wife? Does my wife want to fuck this man? Does she want to fuck his wife, or is she on board? And can we all get along long enough to make that happen?
That's tough.
That sounds very tough.
Yeah. Couple on couple dates are so fucking complicated.
Yeah.
It's why I'm happy I'm not really in that mode anymore.
Yeah.
That must be really hard.
At the same time, you're dealing with there's pressure everywhere.
Right.
Because what if you want to fuck this person and your partner does not want to fuck the other person? Then, okay, there's two options. This couple takes one for the team, and he does something that he doesn't really... And I've done that, and I get it, and I've also been the thing taken for the team. So I understand it from both sides, and it sucks big time on both sides.
Yeah.
So the nice thing about expanding to a party, especially a party that's not full of couples, because couples pair off and break off like couples.
Sure.
That's how it works.
Sure.
So I was talking about this with you all before the podcast. Like, when I started throwing queer play parties, so much better than swinger parties.
Yeah.
Because people are there for whatever it is that brought them to the party, you know. And if what I want tonight is to have someone flog me, odds are someone at that party wants to flog me. And you know what? I don't need to worry about then will they want to fuck me? What if I don't want to do that? You know, and I get it as as a guy, the idea of being pegged also brings up maybe my body's not going to want to do that tonight. You know?
Right.
And in general, guys don't have to deal with the maybe my body doesn't want to do this tonight problem.
Right.
And so that was a wonderful thing to be able to like a wonderful thing. No, that was a great eye opener.
Yes.
Because that's how, as women, we have to think about it.
Absolutely.
Like, maybe my body doesn't want to do this.
Yeah, it's true.
And I also struggled with erectile issues at the beginning of this because it's so much pressure.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So then it's psychological
and emotionally and psychologically, then I'm sitting there like, well, if it doesn't happen this time, what if it doesn't happen next time?
Yeah,
if it doesn't happen next time, then it's a pattern. And then, I mean, what if it never happens again? You know, and so it's like I'm a depressive. I'm a spiraler. So I go out of control. And to be able to be in an environment where there's no expectations of actual sex, but if sex happens, we will enjoy it. You know?
Right.
If that's what I want tonight, I can ask for it. And if it's not, I don't have to.
Right.
You know, then that's
cool.
That's really the environment. Like, our group in Mexico is like no other group that's ever at this resort. This resort is a swinger resort, you know, and there's nothing wrong with a swinger resort.
In the other podcast, that it was different when you first arrived. Yeah,
it's very traditional. It's very like there's an expect. You know, people have feelings about swingers. People have an idea of what swingers are.
That's true.
And there is a portion of the swing community that is just that. They want to fuck. They want to party.
And that's it.
And you know what? They're done. You know, there'll be a lineup. There'll be the blowjob buffet where a bunch of guys are lined up and the women will go down the line. You know, and what's really changed my perspective is like I'm ridiculously hypochondriac. And so, like,
that's another thing.
Oh, yeah.
And after every swinger encounter, I would spend the next week waiting for symptoms of something to show up.
Oh, my God.
Because I had no reason to believe that I got anything, but I would just assume I had.
Exactly. Just given the situation and what could possibly happen. Oh, my God.
And so what I did is I dramatically increased my safer sex protocol.
Yeah.
So I use saran wrap to go down on women.
Yeah.
I wear condoms when I get blowjob.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to worry about one more thing.
Yes.
And I've been told by people, it's like, well, that's not 100% safe. It's like,
yeah, but it's better than doing nothing.
90.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't say, skydiving's not 100% safe, so may as well not use the parachute. Right. At least try. And that has made the biggest difference in the world. I don't have to worry about it.
That's one thing that a lot of the people that are like younger than they don't use protection.
They don't.
They're scared.
We used to be like, they were upset. They were like, you gotta use it.
Into us.
Well, you know why? I mean, it's because we came from an era where sex could kill you.
Yeah.
And now that's not the case anymore. So it's wonderful that it's not the case anymore, but sex isn't scary anymore. And the thing is, HIV was not the only scary thing.
Exactly.
But I mean, like, you don't want to go get the herb.
The general AIDS.
There's like the big thing that it's very easy to demonize. And so I try really hard to remind people that if you have cold sores, you have herpes.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's not a big deal.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's number one.
Right, the cold sores,
But cold sores are herpes.
Yes,
and if you don't use a barrier, you can transmit that from oral to genital.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's still not a big deal.
Right, because you can live with it.
If you don't have it, you don't want it.
Right.
So therefore, why not protect yourself?
Yes.
HPV, generally, not a big deal.
Right.
But if you don't have it, you don't want it, so why not protect yourself?
Exactly.
The things that are a big deal are the things that are easiest to protect against. HIV, syphilis, gonorrhea. Those are easiest to protect against because it's all fluid-based, and all you have to do is put on a fucking condom.
Exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm. No, they're like.
I'm sorry, I'm very passionate about this.
No, but I agree with you though, because I get overzealous with that stuff myself.
Is PrEP I know PrEP's a huge thing in the gay community. Is it a thing in the?
Not that I've seen.
It's so big in the gay community. Almost everybody is on PrEP in the gay community.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And like they made that whole big stink about the one or two people who got HIV. It's like, you know what? There are failure rates for everything. It doesn't mean stop doing it.
Exactly.
If condoms fail 1% of the time, don't not wear one the rest of the time.
Exactly, 1%. Yeah.
So it's, I feel like I'm far more evangelistic about this stuff. Like I will demonstrate. The nice thing about Saran wrap is it's easy to get, and you can see through it, and it's thin, and it's basically. I mean, protection does ruin things a little bit.
Course.
Let's all be honest.
Yeah.
But that's not why you don't stop using condoms because of that. You still use condoms. So yes, it is a little bit less good, but it's still so much better than getting something that you will never get rid of.
Right.
And
especially in a situation where there's multiple people. And
that's the thing.
It's real easy.
In the same room.
In general, non-monogamous communities have far fewer rates of STIs because non-monogamous communities test themselves, and monogamous people don't. They just cheat and get syphilis.
Oh my god!
And then they don't tell their partner because then they know they're cheating and they'll tell their partner now. So yeah, I can play the moral high ground card on monogamous people, but if it were easier to get tested, if that was just a thing that would happen. We would all be much happier, and then we'd be able to eradicate some of this stuff through herd immunity.
Yeah,
right. Exactly.
No, clearly, I'm passionate.
But it makes sense.
It does, and I think people who date infrequently or once in a while, then it's like it's not something that's on the forefront of our mind all the time.
And the dating community is very much like, okay, so I'm fine, so we don't need to use a condom.
Exactly, not me.
They're very
I'm totally like, because you never know.
They're very much.
Yeah.
Like my partner and I did not stop using condoms for 3 years into our relationship, just because.
Well, yeah,
we just didn't. So I mean, it's. There's so many ways to have fun, and they can include condoms.
Yes.
Especially if you've got a varied background and you know what to do and how to do it. And I think that's another thing that interests me.
And gloves are sexy.
And you know what?
The snap of a glove, that's sexy.
Yeah.
But the big thing, you know what most people don't know? Shared toys, even after washing, even after 24 hours, can still transmit things.
Yeah.
Therefore, condoms on all ties.
Right.
You don't have a problem.
Right.
Or you buy all stainless steel and silicone twice, throw it through the dishwasher.
Exactly.
And it's just fine.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a better way to go.
Yeah.
I like glass and.
Now, before we get too sidetracked, we want to hear more about your book.
Oh, yeah,
I know.
I think it's great. I mean, it's really kind of delves into the psychological aspect of these of the relationships and the interpersonal relationships and the way they interact with each other and the thought processes behind it. Like, everyone's human. We all have desires. We all have needs. We all have insecurities.
Yeah.
We all have different ways we relate to each other. So, please.
Well, I really wanted. So this book follows 7 people at a swinger resort that is very similar but legally distinct from Desire Resort and Spa. And so I really wanted to follow different versions of how we approach non-monogamy. And so there are full-fledged traditional swingers in here. There are nudists. There are polyamorous. There's the full gamut. And I also really wanted to explore how, despite being in some place perfect, your life does not just stop at the edge of the resort. And as much as you want to just be on vacation.
Yeah, that's true.
You bring with you so much emotional baggage whenever you go anywhere. And so the thrust of the book is about exploration and dealing with our own shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And different aspects, even from like the leader of the group, and he feels lonely, even though he's surrounded by all these people, and he's for popularity, and he still has his own issues. And then there's the gal who lost her job, and she's feeling and then the lesbian couple who are having trouble in with their relationship. To me it was great just because it shows the multifaceted world of
in different situations,
of not only being non-monogamous, but just having these different situations come up that a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah,
I think
Well, I really like the idea that even in amazing, intense sexual moments, it's very hard to lose the reality of your life.
Yeah.
And so I open the book with 3 sex scenes in a row where people are in the middle of intense sex while also spending most of their emotional bandwidth
somewhere
on
else.
Stuff elsewhere.
Yes,
because we all do it.
Yes,
we all do it.
And I don't see anyone really representing that. It's supposed to be, it's the same thing about if you really loved me, you'd never look at anyone else. If you really cared about me, you wouldn't be worried about what's going on elsewhere. Yeah. But that's not the case, and it's a lie we tell each other.
Right.
And I feel like there are so many lies that we perpetuate because we're supposed to.
Yeah.
And if we were just honest about these things, we would all be so much happier. Because we can be honest then. Right now, I'm emotionally thinking about this. I'm still going to fuck you if you want that, but I'm going to be over here mentally. If that's okay with you, let's do it.
Yeah.
So it's but I wanted to have fun in the book. I wanted to write a love letter to this place that means so much to me, like Desire Resort and Spa in Mexico. I cannot even speak enough wonderful things about it. It is a place like none other that I've ever been.
It sounds beautiful.
It's mostly the people I go with. Because we've self-selected this wacky group of misfits that goes with us every year. And these people are the most genuine and emotionally connected with, certain people notwithstanding that we mentioned before the podcast that we won't go into. But in general, it's a group of people who want to explore life the way I want to explore life. And so I'm putting together like the biggest group of friends ever to go and fuck in paradise.
That's amazing, isn't it? Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to go together. We're just going to fuck everything.
Yeah. And just hang out and enjoy and relax and
Drinks and food.
A lot of SPF.
Now the thing is, so I'm like translucent color.
Yeah.
And I just avoid the sun the entire time. There are ways to avoid the sun.
It's just like walk around with the big umbrella.
Well, like on the beach, there are beds. And the beds all have coverings.
Yes,
so if you go to the beach, you don't have to go in the water.
Exactly.
But you don't have to.
Right.
So I'm somehow because I cannot stand sunscreen. I hate them. It feels on my body. I can't stand them.
Yeah.
Even having, I'm a hirsute gentleman, and so sunscreening hair is the most awful thing that I think has ever happened.
Now they have the spray.
Yeah, the spray.
But it doesn't cover as much, and then you have these streaks of sun-blocked areas. You know. It looks like spray paint on your body, except that's the clear part.
So, with regards to the characters in the book, do you find that those?
Bring me back.
Yeah. Do you find that those 7 personalities are very typical of what you see in the community? So, is there always, the creepy guy? Is there always?
There is always.
Is there the young girl that just wants to explore?
Yeah.
Is there always someone who's always on the edge who kind of puts forth themselves, physically but mentally they're
so like archetypes.
When I so this is sort of a sequel, but not really. So it follows characters that we met in another book. And what I tried to do in that book was make them sort of blank slates. Like they have personalities, they have desires, they have dreams, but ultimately they can be you.
Yeah.
So when you read it, it can
you
be
can relate.
you.
Yeah.
And that is as terrible as 50 Shades of Grey is. The reason it's successful is because all the women reading it want to be Anastasia Steele, and she has no personality, so they just apply their own. So.
I never saw it. Did you guys see the movie?
I did.
Not the full movie.
No, don't bother. It's absolutely terrible.
I love that guy because he's Irish and he has an accent. And I'm like, what?
There were certain things where I'm like, man, this could have been like really cool, but it's not.
But they just
yeah.
I try to make it a place where, like in this one, you can read it and find the character that feels the most like you. Cool. And if you do that and you find the character you are and you find the character you want to be.
Nice.
And I like that.
See, that's awesome.
That's true. I really always wanted to be in a place where I could feel comfortable, like being myself and giving somebody else the freedom to do what they want, but still knowing that they want to be attached to me and that they fully have that.
Because we grow up in a starvation economy. That if someone doesn't give something to me and they give it to someone else, then it's because they don't care about me.
Yeah.
And so we look at these things, and one of the big shifts I made was the idea that relationships are not about needing someone. The relationships are about choosing someone. And I've had people bristle at that, but it's like if I'm in a relationship with you, it's because daily I choose to be in a relationship.
Every day you make that choice.
Because I think divorce showed me this.
Yeah.
Relationships can end at any time for any reason.
Right.
Period. Like someone could wake up tomorrow and decide they no longer want to be my partner and leave, or car accident, or so there is no safety.
Right.
So if we realize and recognize there's no safety, then we are more appreciative of every moment that we have.
Yes, and that's just in life in general.
That's how I feel. But then you mentioned that before about your relationship with Cameron. Like you both choose to be in this situation.
Every day we wake up and you make a choice.
And that's so much more powerful.
Hell yeah.
Choosing is better than needing. Needing is not an active thing.
It's like a total
choice is active.
Yeah. I don't want to need anybody, and I don't want anyone to need me. That turns me off.
It's like
and so if you can do that, then it's still hard. Like all of it. Seeing your partner very happy with someone else, whether you support it or not.
Yeah.
Is still so hard because it's like, okay, so what do they have that I'm not giving? Do I need to work on something? Do I need to do something better? And you know what? Usually not.
Right.
Usually you saying, you're all good, you go have fun, is all you have to do.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
But it's still, and it's hard because we were given this. This is not natural. You read Sex at Dawn. This is not the way humans evolved. This is the way religion made us. Yes. And because religion made us this way, media made us this way. Because television and movies have corrupted us the same way that society and religion have. So we see nothing of value that presents an alternative to monogamous, traditional relationship.
Right. And that's why, like, sometimes Cameron and I say that we feel fortunate that we're gay just because we're not forced to follow any type of archetype.
Because you've already broken
out. We've already broken the mold. We're already doing our own thing. So we don't have to have kids at a certain point. We don't have to get married at a certain point. Yeah. We don't have to live our lives in a certain way. So in some ways we feel a lot more fortunate, even though the road was harder to get to where we are. But now that we're here, it's a lot easier, I feel like, than some straight people that like have to like feel like they're very pressured to like follow these guidelines.
Life, like I was married, I have 2 kids, and I'm not married anymore. And I was like, there's got to be something else to this. And I mean, it was unhealthy to begin with emotionally, but like with me, I always felt different. Like, why isn't there this connection? And why isn't there this freedom being given to me? Because I would give this freedom to this other person.
Yes.
And that's this thing where it's like, if you want me to be happy, I want to be able to, I want to live my life, and I want to create my lane, but I still want you next to me. That's a choice, and that's not something that people give each other.
And that's why I use partner. I don't intend to get married again. But my partner, Ophelia, is my partner.
Correct.
She will probably never be my wife because I've done that. But she's not my girlfriend by any means.
Right.
We are the ones. This is the primary relationship.
Right.
People bristle at that too.
No, I understand it.
This is the relationship. Every day when I go home, it's going to be to this relationship.
Yes.
Other things may be important. They may even get close to the same level of importance. But there's still this is where I live, and this is what I do.
I think I feel like I would flourish in that kind of situation where I had an anchor.
Yes.
I was still
Yes.
Yeah, but I think
which is probably
that fits my personality
right,
a little bit.
Which is probably like my thing too, and I think I've always been that way. But now all of a sudden, the polyamory is more to the forefront. People at least I found people that I could discuss it with.
Oh no, polyamory is trending.
Yes, it is now,
and that's scary because people are just like, "We're poly." It's like, no, do you really deeply feel that? Yes. Is that something you really discuss with yourself, with your friends? Like, again, putting a label on something just because it's trendy doesn't necessarily mean it's right.
Exactly. And that's like, ever since I was younger, I remember even expressing ideas like this. People thought I was nuts. Yeah. There was all like, what are you talking about? I just don't think you know what you want. I just think right now you're young and you have to. And I'm like, don't fucking tell me what I'm thinking. You know what I mean? Like, so I've always very much been that way. I am in a very, Italian family, like we've always been very traditional. Thankfully, like I said before, our parents are not like this, so maybe that's why we also don't struggle with this, with these things within ourselves, or maybe this is the way we were raised or whatever. Like, I don't give a shit.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I really don't. Like, if I find somebody though and I become monogamous, hey, great. But I don't know if it happens. I'm not going to try and force myself for it to happen. But I feel comfortable in this because, I only had one experience, and it could have been just a great experience because it was with this one person.
Sure.
It was wonderful, and I could see myself having it again because...
And he was hot as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty hot. Yeah.
Yeah, just like really just a positive experience all around, everything. You know what I mean? So I could see myself like that happening again. But I'm not going to force stuff.
I recognize the one thing that I think is unchanging about me is that I don't feel like I can do monogamy.
No.
Like, I get very distracted in life. Like, when I'm working on projects, the first novel was a procrastination to the thing I was supposed to be writing. I instead wrote a novel.
You're right.
Sounds like something I would do.
I know, that's what I was going to say.
So I get distracted, and I get flighty, and I want newness, and I want new experiences. And that could be seen as a weakness, absolutely. It could be seen as a negative in my relationship. But having non-monogamy allows me to experience all those things and still be here.
Yes.
Without non-monogamy, it felt like a champagne bottle that you're shaking up. It's like you can only go so long before that cork pops out.
Yes.
And it will.
With the pressure. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people try to do that. They try to keep things contained because if I can just say you can't hang out with your sexy friend because I know you're kind of attracted. If you can keep that contained,
so much.
Then maybe things will be fine, but probably not. But it doesn't matter because that's for future person to figure.
Yeah.
And not only that, like even when I meet people now, I really encourage them to be themselves. And sometimes, a lot of people get turned off by like having sexual conversations ahead of time. Sometimes I'm like, hey, if that's what's important to you, I'm cool having that conversation. And if that's important to you, that's fine. And just be you, be whatever you want to be. It can whether or not I want that in my life, or if that's something that appeals to me, that's different. But I'm not gonna put out this this energy that you have to live up to a standard that I have put up.
Sure.
And so I think some people are weirded out by that.
You strive for authenticity.
Oh yeah,
Strive for
authenticity.
Yeah, like if you're a pervert, I want to know you're a pervert because that's kind of cool. But like. If you like want to hump your dog, I don't have.
No, oh my god.
You know what I mean? Like, feel free to.
There's a level.
If there are things you're into and I'm not, then like.
You bring animals into it, I'll kill the person.
Yeah, right. And that was super extreme, but like whatever, like. You want to fuck fruit? You can.
Oh, you're right.
Like, that's up to you, boo.
And like I said, consenting adults, everybody's on board. You know what I mean? Cool.
Right, like, that's cool. That's just, like you said, that's not my head.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Maybe I'm not.
Right. Exactly. But hey, that's your thing?
Do that.
Yeah.
So just to make sure everybody, kind of is on the same page, the book is called Approaching the Swingularity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's out
title.
April 18th, so please check it out.
And where can we find it?
Where can we find it?
CooperSBeckett.com. You can buy all my books direct from me, and I'm an independent publisher, so I really appreciate it.
Wonderful.
If you buy from me. But if you don't, you can buy it on Amazon and all the things.
Great.
I have ebooks and paperback for Approaching the Swingularity. I have audiobooks for my first 2 books also. Swingularity will be an audiobook, but that's down the road.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, I love audiobooks. Yeah.
We'll put all this on the website.
Absolutely.
And, on iTunes and all that stuff, so you guys can check them out.
It was so amazing to have you as a guest, and we invite you to come back like whenever you want.
Like weekly? Weekly.
Because we loved. I loved this. This was a great episode.
I love the conversational aspect of this.
Good.
I'd be happy to.
We don't mess around.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we do.
No, you do.
Yeah, we do.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us for this episode, and we will be back soon enough.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like at some point, I don't want to make any promises. You know what?
Yeah, we're not committal.
I know how that is.
We are so not committal when it comes to this.
Which is probably why, I have my issues. But hey,
Thanks, and thank you again.
Yes, thank you
My
again.
pleasure.
And ciao for now, babe.
Yes, bye.
If you like what you heard, please share us on Twitter @BitchPodcast, on Facebook @LabPodcast Chicago, on Instagram @L.A.B._podcast, or visit our website www.labpodcast.com.
Just remember